Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is gonna be a bit of a nice one for you guys. I thought that I should just sit down and delve into my birth story. So basically, I ended up pregnant with my son accidentally. Okay, it was definitely a shock to me and my husband. But I had been having some issues, like side effects with birth control and everything, so I wasn't on birth control. I think I just thought that I was like immune or something. Like, I feel like that's kind of like a common thing with women sometimes, is like until it actually happens, it's kind of like a myth, you know. Like, theoretically I can get pregnant, but if I haven't gotten pregnant in this amount of time, it had been like 2 years or so at that point, like, it's just, is it really gonna happen? Maybe I'm just infertile. Perhaps I'm just infertile and it's not that deep. So yeah, we weren't being as cautious as we definitely should have, and I ended up pregnant with my son. So alhamdulillah for everything, you know, alhamdulillah for Allah's plan, but you know, we definitely didn't feel prepared to have a child. Even though we had been married for 2 years, we kind of wanted to wait just a bit longer until both of us had finished our schooling, because I was about to start my master's program and my husband was still an undergrad. So we both were trying to finish school before having any kids, and yeah, that just didn't end up happening. So yeah, because of that, I feel like it took a bit of time for both of us to kind of come to terms with the fact that we were having a kid. So that first trimester is kind of like a blur for me. I remember when I found out, like, I kind of had a suspicion that I was pregnant. I don't know, I just felt it, like, you know, like I just felt like, yeah, I think I might be pregnant. I remember feeling like cramping, like really strong cramping randomly. Like, you would think that you were on your period type of cramping, but I wasn't on my period, and I didn't have any other PMS symptoms. So that was the first weird thing. And then I looked that up and it said like, oh yeah, cramping is a sign of a rapidly expanding uterus. So you might be pregnant. So that was like the first sign to me, like, okay, I might be pregnant. And I actually went to the OBGYN for like a follow-up of how things were doing, like after getting off the birth control. And he was like, oh, like, have you had your period yet? And have you been using protection? And I'm like, you know, so he did blood work, and then I was waiting to hear back from him. And then a couple of days later, I heard back from him. It didn't say pregnant or not pregnant. It just said like prolactin. Yeah, prolactin levels were high. That's all it said in there, was that my prolactin levels were high. So I looked that up. I'm like, does prolactin levels being high mean that I'm pregnant? And then of course, Google is like, oh, maybe, yeah, you might be pregnant because of that. It could also be issues in other areas. So I was like, you know what, let me just go get a pregnancy test. So I went over to like Walgreens or CVS or whatever, picked up a pregnancy test, and I didn't tell, I don't think I told anyone that I was doing this. And then when I got home, I took the pregnancy test, and I was living with my mom and my siblings at that time. Me and my husband weren't living together yet. And so I took the pregnancy test in my mom's bathroom, and as soon as I found out, I just remember feeling happy. Like, I remember feeling happy and excited, like this is really cool, like this is a real thing that's happening. And like I feel like that's kind of surprising that I felt that way, considering we hadn't planned it, and like it would kind of be a disruption of our future plans for us to have a kid. But I don't know, I think it just was that innate, you know, wanting to have a kid, wanting to mother, like that kind of just was awakened in me the moment I saw that positive pregnancy test. Like, I just already knew like that I love this baby. Like, I don't know, like I felt excited. And so then I went to tell my husband, and he just like had this shock look on his face. Like, I FaceTimed him and I just showed him the pregnancy test. Like, I didn't even do like a cute reveal, but you know, I literally just FaceTimed him because I couldn't like contain, like, this is crazy, like I just have to tell him right away. So I FaceTimed him and I just showed him on the camera. As soon as he picked up the camera, he could just see like positive on the pregnancy test. And he just was so shook. Like, I actually have a screenshot of that moment. He just like had his mouth open, like he looked like that emoji where it's like the sweat bead at the top and like the smile, but it's like you're scared. That's literally what he looks like. And he just is like, oh, like, are you serious? Like, are you joking? Like, is this real life? And I'm like, yeah, like, this is real. Like, I was just laughing. And then he was just like, oh, wow. And I'm just like, I could tell, like, he was really scared and stuff. But I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go tell my mom, my sister, and see what they have to say. So I hung up with him. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I told them both at the same time. I just had them come into my room, and I'm like, I have to show you guys something. I have an announcement to make. Okay, or did I tell my sister first? This is terrible. I think I might have told my sister first, and she just is like surprised, like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then I think she was like, okay, now we have to tell mommy together. And then my mom came into my room, and then we told my mom. I think that's what happened. So then I think we told my mom together and like tried to get her maybe to guess or something like that. Like, I don't remember. I just remember my mom being like shook, like she was acting like she was about to fall out. Like she might have guessed, like, oh, are you pregnant? And then I showed her the pregnancy test, and yeah, like she was really excited for me, and like Shanice too. Like, they both had good positive reactions. Like, they weren't acting like super nervous or worried for me or anything. They mostly just were asking me like, how do I feel? And I'm just like, I feel good. Like, I feel happy. I feel excited. Like, this is really cool. Like, I'm really gonna have a baby. This is crazy, right? So yeah, after I told him, he told his parents. If maybe not that same day, like maybe a few days later, like a week or two later, like he told his parents. And you know, they took their time like coming to terms with everything. I think they just were worried like about my husband because he was still in school, and they didn't want him to drop out of school, or they wanted to make sure he would be able to finish this last year and at the very least get his undergraduate degree. And you know, because it wasn't planned, like I think everybody just was like nervous, especially on their end, because like it's the husband's responsibility to take care of the child and take care of me, and like he's gonna have to kind of step into the big man shoes and provide and take care of us and stuff while he's still in school. So I think that level of stress was kind of getting to that side of the family. And my husband, like, I feel like he couldn't really feel as happy as me because I feel like he was worried, like, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to figure this out? So yeah, that pretty much was the first trimester. As far as symptoms, I did have a bit of nausea. I had quite a bit of nausea pretty much all the time. Like, it's morning sickness. It's not morning, it's all day sickness. And I didn't really throw up though. Like, I didn't throw up in my first trimester at all. I just was nauseous all the time, and the only thing that helped was if I ate. So I had to eat pretty frequently with like small meals, bread, crackers, toast, that sort of thing. I would kind of try to eat that like every 2 to 3 hours just to kind of stave off the nausea. And I remember feeling really tired, like really exhausted. Like, I would sleep 12 hours every night, like 12 to 12, 10 to 10 type sleep. That wasn't my norm, so I was really exhausted. And I still wanted to take naps too. So in addition to sleeping 12 hours overnight, I also felt like I needed naps in the middle of the day. Like, I just needed to lay in my bed. Like, that's simply all I wanted to do, like the first trimester, was lay in my bed and just like lay there. I also had a lot of back pain too. Like, I remember, especially in the beginning, like the first few weeks after finding out, I had really bad back pain. Like, I don't know, when I forgot, I did look it up, like, why am I having back pain like this? And I think it had to do with like the uterus expanding too, kind of similar to how you might have back pain before your period, like, you know. So yeah, that was really hard, that back pain, because I couldn't take medicine, because apparently, like, when you look it up, they're like, oh, you can't take pain medicine when you're pregnant because it'll harm the baby or whatever. So that was so, I literally felt like I had the flu. That's how bad I felt during the first trimester. Like, I felt like I had the flu. I was so exhausted on top of being nauseous, and now I'm having body aches that are like located mostly in my back. So that was like, that was the hardest part. Like, I pretty much just laid in bed and like felt, and my nose got stuffy too. Like, apparently that's a pregnancy symptom. My nose was stuffy. So like, I literally felt like I was sick, but for weeks. So it was terrible. But yeah, that was first trimester. So then second trimester, like figuring out like where am I gonna get my care done. In the beginning, I went to the OBGYN, but then I started looking into it, and I realized that I didn't want to have like the typical type of birth that people see like on TV, like where you're like laying on your back in the hospital bed, and like they're like telling you to push, and you have your feet are in stirrups. Like I just didn't really want that clinicalized type of birth. I kind of have a distrust of the medical care system as a Black woman. We spent a lot of time in my undergrad talking about Black maternal health and how it's really, really poor in the United States, and I did not want to become another statistic. So I'm like, I'm not trying to give birth in the hospital. Like that's just it. Like I want to give birth in a space where I'm able to feel safe and comforted, and whether or not you feel that is a big part of how well the labor goes. So I just knew I wasn't gonna be able to feel truly safe and held and for this sacred moment in a hospital with these bright fluorescent lights and chemical smelling. Absolutely not. So yeah, I decided to look into a birth center instead. I looked into a birth center and I went and talked to the midwives, and at first I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get in with them because at first they didn't accept my insurance. But then the lady told me like, oh, just call back in a couple of months because we're in the process of trying to get your insurance on board. So I was like, okay, bet. Called back in a couple of months, and you know, we're like mid second trimester at this point. Like maybe I think I might have been like 15, 16, 17 weeks, something like that, when I finally got care with the midwives. And then after that, that was it. I just stayed with them for my care. They had us rotate a different midwife every time I would come so that I can meet all the midwives, because you have no way of knowing which midwife you'll get when you go into labor, because you're gonna birth with the midwife who's on call. So they did have a couple of Black midwives, and that was nice, like, but literally only 1 or 2 out of like 8 or 9 midwives. So I really wanted to have a Black woman at my birth, but you know, spoiler alert, that didn't happen. But all the ladies were really nice. Like I don't think I had problems with any of the ladies. I also got to do the 20-week ultrasound, like to make sure like everything's forming correctly with the baby. Everything was fine. We went to the hospital for that. That was fine. And I also found out the gender. I found out the gender by doing a little gender reveal party with my friends, and that was really cute. Like we got the blood work done for the gender, and then like my friends came over, and like that was so sweet. Like I absolutely want to do a gender reveal again, like the next time I get pregnant, because that was actually just so much fun. Me and my whole family were convinced that I was having a girl. Like we were so convinced. We had the name picked out. Like we were literally calling the baby by this girl name, even though we didn't know. And then lo and behold, I'm having a boy. Like I don't know why, like I thought I was having a girl so much, and I had to like reframe my mind and like come to terms with the fact that I was actually having a boy, and then focus in on my boy name to like kind of get more of a connection with him. So yeah, so that was really nice. What else? Okay, yeah. Oh, I looked into getting a doula because I knew from my studies that doulas help improve Black maternal health outcomes. So that's what I was looking for. I kind of especially wanted a Muslim doula, simply because like I'm Muslim, so I want someone who's going to share my faith and understand like my background and stuff like that. So I looked into who was in our community, what Muslim doulas were in our community, and the only people we had, I think I found like 2 or 3, and I went and contacted all of them. And one of them I actually like grew up with. Like I pretty much have known her, like, well, she's known me since I was like 10 or something. I don't know, maybe even less than that. Like I've known her a long time. But I was actually really nervous about it because I'm just like, dog, like is it weird to like have someone you know in real life like be a part of your birth team? Because like I'm gonna be practically naked in front of you, you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of weird. Like, can I look you in the eye again afterwards? Like if you see all these parts of me that I haven't even seen myself, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna see me in a way I haven't even seen me. Like that was really crazy. So at first I was really nervous about doing it, but then she just reassured me like, no, it's not gonna be weird. Like I do this all the time, and like the support that you're gonna get is infinitely more important. And when you're in that moment in labor, you're not going to be thinking about that. All you're going to be thinking about is getting the support and the help that you need, and that's what I want to do for you. Not to mention the fact that she agreed to be my doula for free, and like I said, both of us were in school, so none of us really had money to pay for a doula, and like doulas are all kind of out of pocket at this point. So yeah, that was why I was just like, okay, this is a no-brainer at this point. She's willing to let us go for free. She simply asked if she could have like a student doula, and I was like, yeah, like, oh, it's for free, like whatever. So yeah, so that was nice. I had my doula set up. Then they ended up testing me for gestational diabetes, and before the test, like a week or two before the test, I pretty much knew for myself that I had gestational diabetes. Like, I just self-diagnosed myself. Like, I just was pretty attuned to myself, and I started figuring out that anytime I would eat, if there wasn't any protein in the meal, I would get nauseous. And I had stopped getting nauseous at this point because it's like almost the third trimester. So anytime that I would eat something, and that was pretty much my typical, like before this, I never really focused on protein like that. Like, I thought that I ate healthy, but I never prioritized like the different type food groups. Like, to me, eating healthy was having 2 slices of toast with some berries for breakfast. Sound healthy to most people, right? You'd think, oh yeah, that sounds super healthy. A wheat toast with some jam and some berries, super healthy. Completely nauseous after. Why? Because there's no protein with that meal, and healthiness requires balance in all the food groups, which means carbs, protein, and fats. So for me, I tended to lean towards carb heavy meals, because especially when you eat halal, like there's not really that many opportunities to get protein like that. So I would just have like a bowl of cereal, or like, that's pretty much how I ate. Like, I just ate whatever. I realized that if I didn't have protein in my meal, I would get nauseous. I looked it up, and they're like, yeah, that's a sign of diabetes. So okay, cool, bet. I went and I took the test, and I failed the 1-hour screening, and as no surprise, I went back for the 3-hour screening, and I failed that too. And when I, like, those screenings are absolutely terrible, especially if you have the diabetes, okay? Because they give you this terribly diabetic drink. A drink that I'm not gonna eat something that has this much sugar in it, like, to begin with. Like, why are you making me do this? And it tasted it was like an orange soda, but it's like you can't eat anything, so it's like on an empty stomach. And then, like, I'm sitting there for hours. I had to sit there for like 4 hours, and they prick you 4 times. It was terrible. So yeah, I was pissed that I had to do that thing 2 times. I hated every single second of it. So yeah, failed that. I'm really hoping that the next time I get pregnant, I don't have gestational diabetes, because that was really hard to deal with. I was able to handle it with diet though. The only thing I had to do was I had to basically plan all my meals out ahead of time and make sure that I didn't eat things that were really sweet, like, you know, a lot of desserts and stuff like that. I couldn't really have that, and I had to make sure every single meal that I had protein. And if I was going to have a dessert, I had to pair it with a protein. That was the only way that my blood sugars weren't going to spike, and I wasn't going to get nauseous. And it also had me prick my finger like 3 times a day to test my sugars and write them down for them and stuff, because they wanted them to be under a certain level, and if they weren't, they were going to put me on insulin. And I kind of just didn't like the way that lady was interacting with me, because like she just was so aggressive for no reason, like telling me like what she's gonna do. Like, you can tell me in a nicer way, right? Because my thing is, like, if I say that I don't want to be put on insulin, I don't want to be put on insulin. Like, you can't force me to do anything. That's my thing. This is why I don't do well with hospitals and doctors, because you're not gonna force me to do something I don't want to do. I understand that I have diabetes, right? I understand I have the gestational diabetes, and I understand what I need to do to fix it. And if I get a couple of numbers that are just a little bit off, don't tell me, oh, if you don't get every single one of these numbers below the line, I'm gonna put you on insulin. You're not gonna do anything to me. You're really not. And so from that point forward, I'm just gonna bring in a paper that's gonna match your expectations, because I'm not getting on insulin if I don't feel like I need to, and if I feel like I'm handling it appropriately. And just because 1 or 2 numbers is off, like, that's not a reason to give me insulin, dog. Out of a week worth of numbers, 1 or 2 is off, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna give you insulin. Bye. Absolutely bye. So I just basically told them whatever they wanted to hear to get off my back, because if they gave me insulin, I wasn't gonna be able to birth at the hospital. I mean, at the birth center. They were going to force me to birth at the hospital. And again, you're not going to force me to do something I don't want to do. I'm not birthing at the hospital. I don't feel safe there. So I'm just like, yeah, we're not doing that, bro. So I just ended up telling whatever they wanted to hear, while also trying to manage it with my diet and exercise as best as I could, try to adhere to the diet plan. And I'm really proud of myself. Like, I really did try hard, and I feel like I did really well considering. So yeah, I didn't have any complications as a result of the diabetes, alhamdulillah. And so now we are getting to the birth story. We're coming upon the birth story now, okay? So I have been pregnant for 40 weeks at this point, and I really was just so sick of being pregnant. Oh, honestly, leading up to this point, I had been having prodromal labor and Braxton Hicks. And that's like when you have contractions, but they're not consistent and they're not incredibly strong, and they don't increase like in strength or in intensity. So I was having these contractions from like 35, 37 weeks, and I would get these contractions like anytime that my bladder was full. Like if I had to pee really bad, I would start getting these contractions. Like if I was driving for a long time, I would start getting these contractions. Anytime me and my husband were intimate, I would start getting these contractions every single time. Like I couldn't sleep because of this. Like I'm just laying up all night, contraction after contraction. Like I'm just like, I'm not gonna make it. If this is how labor feels, I'm not going to make it. Like, please, I just want to go to sleep. Like, it was actually terrible. So yeah, at some point, I was doing my yoga. I was doing a lot of yoga, prenatal yoga, and like I was doing like the yoga ball, and I was doing the different positions and everything. I also was listening to hypnobirthing soundtracks when I would do this, which like they're literally just telling you affirmations about like, you know, your body was made for this. Like you are the perfect person to guide your baby into this life. You and your baby are going to be happy and healthy, and you love your baby. Like just that's all they just say that over and over and over, and you just rock on the ball back and forth. So I was doing all that I could to try to get this baby in a good position. I was walking, I was curb walking, which is like when you step on the curb and then you step on the street and you just like keep doing that. So I was doing all that around the neighborhood. And I also had started the raspberry red raspberry leaf tea. I also started primrose oil, I think it's called, evening primrose oil. Yeah, I was taking capsules of that. I was also doing the Edgewood dates. I was taking like 2 or 3 of those every single day. All this from like 35 weeks I was doing this, in addition to my exercises and my hypnobirthing. So this is how I was like preparing my mind and my body for labor. So then like labor is now about to start. I think this might have been around 38 weeks. 38 weeks is when I lost my mucus plug. If those of you don't know what a mucus plug is, it's literally like a glob of mucus that's like stuck in your cervix to like keep bacteria from entering up into your baby. So if you lose your mucus plug, that usually means that your cervix is starting to flatten and open, which is going to allow the baby to come out. So for a lot of people, it's a sign of labor when the mucus plug comes out. The mucus plug came out for me around 38 weeks, and I was like really nervous about it when it happened. Like I literally felt it, like you just feel something come out of you, like while I was using the bathroom, and it was just like crazy. And you also have like a bloody show, where it's like you like, it's like you're having your period or something, like there's just blood in the toilet. So I was super freaked out. I was super nervous, like, oh my God, like, am I about to go into labor? Like, I just felt like I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't prepared. Like, I was like about to panic. Like, can I do this? I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't know if I can do this. So I was talking to my doula, and she was telling me like, okay, just take a deep breath, calm down. Like, you're not having any contractions, so we don't know if labor is about to start yet. So why don't you just go take a nice shower and try to relax yourself and go to sleep, and then we'll see how things are tomorrow. So that's what I did. And turns out I didn't end up having any contractions, but I did feel a lot calmer. And fast forward to 39 weeks, 39 and 6 days, I went over to my grandmother's house, and I was talking to my grandmother about everything. And, you know, she would just check on me like, no contractions yet, because that was a sign for her that she was about to go into labor, is if she lost her mucus plug. So when I told her I lost mine, and she's like, oh, you're not having any contractions? Like, nothing? And I'm like, no, nothing. Like, nothing is happening over here. So then we ended up coming across like the topic of Zemzem water somehow. Maybe my sister suggested it, I don't know. But I just asked her like, oh, Jid, like, can I have some of your Zemzem water and I'll make dua, and like just see if that's gonna help things get going, okay? So she's like, okay, because my grandmother, she went to Hajj like a while ago, so she has like a bunch of Zemzem water. So she gave me some Zemzem water, okay, and I'm just sitting at that table, and I'm just like, yeah, Allah, like, please allow me to go into labor soon, because basically they wanted to induce me if I went past 41 weeks. If I go past 41 weeks, I'd have to be induced at the hospital, and they wouldn't allow me to give birth. They wouldn't allow me to give birth, like to start my labor on my own. And if you have an induction, it can make your labor a lot harder to get through. Also, I was nervous about getting a cervical check, and they were telling me like, oh, when you come in at 40 weeks, we'll do a cervical check. And like, I heard from a lot of people that was really painful, so I was so nervous about that happening. So I just was like, yeah, Allah, please let me to go into labor soon. Like, allow me to go into labor on my own, allow my body to progress naturally, and allow me to have a natural labor, a labor that goes smoothly with no complications. That was the dua that I made. And I drank that Zamzam water and I went home. Then, y'all, I wake up the next morning with a contraction. Okay, that Zamzam water worked quick. So the next day I'm exactly 40 weeks. I wake up around 9 a.m. with a contraction that wakes me up out of my sleep. Like, it felt like the baby was trying to eject himself out of me. Like, what is happening? And I just, it made me like pop my eyes open, like, oh my gosh. So I ended up getting up, and I still wasn't convinced that I was in labor though. I just was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, pregnancy be doing dumb stuff. So I'm just like, whatever, I'm just gonna ignore it. And I go out and I talk to my family, and I'm just telling them like, oh, like, I'm not feeling very well today. Like, I'm kind of in a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort. And meanwhile, unbeknownst to me, they're side-eyeing each other like, oh, she in labor. And they just didn't tell me that they thought I was in labor. They're just like, oh, okay, why don't you go with Shanaz to her youth talks meeting? So Shanaz, like, Shanaz is my sister. She has youth talks where like she basically talks to like younger girls and stuff. So she's like, why don't you take Shanaz to her meeting and you go with her? So I'm like, okay, I don't really feel like going anywhere, but it's fine. Shana's like, oh, well, if you don't feel well, it's better to take your mind off of it, you know, like things are almost coming to a close, like you just should distract yourself. So I'm like, okay, fine. We end up going to this meeting, and during the meeting I'm noticing that I'm starting to have like this discomfort that's continuing to come again and again. And like when it would come, I felt like I had to stand up. So we're sitting at this meeting, and then if I got a contraction, I literally would stand up out the chair and I would pace back and forth. Still not even sure I'm in labor, but I'm just like, this is what intuitively I have to do in order to relieve the discomfort that I'm feeling. So I stand up and I start pacing back and forth, and then when the contraction is over, I would sit down. So we do this for a few hours, and at this point the contractions are coming like maybe every 15-20 minutes at this point. So not super close, but still consistent enough where I can tell like, okay, this seems to be getting serious. Maybe I am going into labor. Before this point in the day, like the contractions were so sporadic, they weren't consistent, that I just was like, oh, I don't know. And they weren't intense enough where I'm like, this is labor. I'm just like, oh, like I don't know what's going on. I just feel uncomfortable, like whatever. So at this point, when it's every 15-20 minutes, I'm getting up, walking. I'm like, okay, something is clearly going on now, and I'm the driver. So how am I gonna drive when I'm having contractions? So I'm telling Shanaz, like, I think I'm in labor and I'm having contractions. How am I gonna drive through this? Because every time I have a contraction, I feel like I have to stand up and walk. How am I gonna drive? I can't drive and then be like, oh, let me get out the car and walk when I have a contraction. Like, but that was what my body was telling me to do, and that was the only way to relieve the discomfort I was feeling. So I was really nervous. She just was like, okay, why don't we go get something to eat? It's nearby, you won't have to drive as far. So we go and we get pizza. And the whole time they're sitting down eating pizza, I couldn't even eat. Like, I don't even think I had a bite of the food. Like, I wasn't interested in eating. I'm just pacing up and down outside this pizza shop while they're sitting down eating. It was like me, my cousin Shanaz, my friend Asma, and they're just sitting there eating. And we walk back and forth, and they're like, oh, well, maybe we should try timing the contractions. And I think they tried timing it. I don't remember what the timing was though. But I'm just walking back and forth. So then we're like, okay, I think we should head home. At this point, they are getting closer. They were maybe closer to 5 minutes apart while I'm doing this walking back and forth. Yeah, because I didn't really sit at all. Like, yeah, so they were like 5 minutes apart at this point. So we get in the car and we go home. And yes, I am having contractions while I'm driving, but they space apart a lot more while I'm driving, so I don't have as many. So I'm able to just work through it. They're less intense. Alhamdulillah, like while I'm driving, like Allah lessens it up so I can get home safely. So I end up getting home, and then I end up calling my husband to tell him, like, hey, like, I think I might be in labor, like, I'm having like this pain, this discomfort that's coming pretty regularly, like maybe you might want to start heading this way, because my husband lives about an hour away from me. So he's like, okay, well, just keep me updated, because like, you know, I do have work in the morning, so just let me know if you think I need to come tonight, or can I come after work tomorrow, or should I cancel work? So just keep me updated on how it progresses, because labor can sometimes last a really long time. So I'm just like, okay, fine. And then I call my doula, tell my doula what's happening, and she's at another birth, so she isn't able to come at that moment, but she's just like, okay, like, just keep doing what you're doing, do whatever feels good to you, try to relax, maybe take a shower, and try to get some rest, see if you can go to sleep. So I'm like, okay. I try to lay down, and absolutely not. There will be no sleep happening over here, because every time I would have a contraction, like, it just was so unbearably uncomfortable while laying down. Like, I just couldn't. There's no way I can fall asleep with a contraction like this. So I just ended up getting out the bed, and I got my trusty yoga ball, and I'm just rocking on it back and forth. Like, I'm leaning my arms over the ball, and then like I'm like rocking back and forth with my knees on the ground. So I'm doing that for a little bit. I'm trying to do all the positions that I remember about how to help get the baby engaged. And yeah, so I'm doing that, rocking back and forth, and then eventually I do decide to take that shower just to help relax me. The shower was like my main tool during labor. I love the shower. It really did help relax me. I think it's because the shower relaxes me outside of labor, so naturally your mind is going to have those associations of relaxation with the shower, so it's going to help while you're in labor. So I ended up doing that. I'm in the shower, relaxing through each contraction. The contractions are still, I'd say, about 5 minutes apart consistently. So I'm in the shower, and I'm just swaying through the contractions, letting the water run on my back. I'm having back labor at this point, y'all. Like, all of my contractions are in my back. I haven't felt a single like cramp, like contraction, or nothing in the front. It just feels like pain in my back. Like, it feels like almost like I have a body ache, like in my back, like a intensity in my back. That's all that I'm feeling right now. So yeah, I'm just rocking back and forth in the shower, and then I get out the shower and I like put lotion on to try to relax me, make myself feel good, get some cute jammies on, you know, just trying to distract myself. And then I go back onto the ball, I listen to some hypnobirthing, and I go back and forth doing what I'm doing. The contractions are continuing to get more intense, but they still are about 5 minutes apart. Around this time, we call the midwives to tell them, like, hey, I think I might be in labor. While I'm talking to them, I go through a contraction, and they're like, are you having a contraction right now? And I'm like, yeah, because when I'm talking, if the contraction comes, I have to stop talking. So that's how they could tell, like, oh, are you having a contraction? But at this point, I wasn't making any noise. Like, I wasn't moaning or yelling or making any noise. Like, I just was being quiet and breathing really deeply, trying to relax myself, taking deep breaths. That's all I was doing still. So they can tell that I'm not far enough along to come to the birth center. In order to come to the birth center, I have to be 6 centimeters dilated. So they're like, okay, we don't think you're quite ready yet to come here, but just keep us posted, you know. Let us know if the contractions get any closer together. My sister is there timing the contractions, and you know, she's just talking to me a little bit. She's just sitting outside. My mom is awake too. My mom stays awake with me all night, and Shanaz too. I love them, alhamdulillah. So they just stay awake with me during this whole process. My mom is like, hey, like, I think you should give everyone a call back. Like, I do think that this is serious labor, and I think that he should come. And I'm just like, okay, well, maybe you guys can call him, because like, I'm in labor right now. Like, I just can't, like, I don't feel like talking on the phone. So I think my mom calls him and tells him, like, hey, it's serious, like, you should come. So he gets on the road. This is around 3 a.m. So he starts getting on the road to head towards me. And I'm still, at this point, I get back in the shower a second time, just because I feel like I need that coping mechanism. The contractions are consistently getting more and more intense. Still not vocalizing yet though. I'm in the shower, and my sister is trying to talk to me to distract me, and she literally asked me, she's like, do you want me to talk to you, or do you want me to be quiet? And at this point in labor, I'm just like, you can just be quiet, because I felt like I needed all of my energy and all of my strength to focus on relaxing during each contraction as much as I could. And if she was talking to me and I had a contraction, it would like distract my effort and my energy. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's not gonna work. So she's like, okay. She just sits there quietly, then timing the contraction. Every time I have one, I'll tell her like contraction, and then she'll do the timer. and I guess they're still probably about 5 or 4 minutes apart maybe, and still going strong, still consistent. They are like a minute long, so it's like we're in that 511 411 part where most people will say, oh, go to the hospital, but because I want to arrive at the birth center in active labor, like really far along, where they know I'm not gonna not have the baby within a few hours. So that's why we just kept pushing forward. Yeah, still not really vocalizing. If so, it's like barely vocalizing, like maybe like a little breathy groan or something, like, you know, but mostly still just deep breathing. And then I get out the shower again. It's really just a whole birth of me getting in and out the shower. And I try again, but at this point I don't even like get like cute or anything. I'm not putting lotion on, like I don't have the energy for that. All I have the energy for is to try to make it through these contractions, so I can go back to trying to get through the contractions. My sister is in contact with my doula, and she's just letting her know like when she'll be able to come and that type of thing. And I believe I get into the shower a third time, if I'm not mistaken. I get into the shower a third time, come back out, and then my husband is finally here. My husband, he brought some like Gatorade for me and some snacks I asked him to pick up along the way so that I can make sure I was hydrated and that I had like nourishment that would give me energy, carbs for a straight shot of energy while I'm going through this difficult task. So pretzels and Gatorade, and he's just like giving me hugs and like, you know, telling me that he's like here for me. And I feel like his presence kind of increased the labor, like it made the labor even more intense, because they say that oxytocin is what is helping the labor progress, and oxytocin is also called the love hormone, which is produced when you're around someone that you love. So because he's giving me hugs and stuff like that, that reassurance, that safety, like I'm just like, okay, so now it's feeling even worse, even more intense, even more uncomfortable. And at this point I start crying because I'm just like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can handle this. And at this point it's like 6:30 a.m. No, maybe 6. It's like 6 a.m. at this point. So I'm just like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can handle this. Like I'm not gonna make it. And he's just like, oh, so it'll be okay. And then by now the doula finally gets here. Okay, Sister Ivana finally gets here, and she's just like, hey, like, how are you feeling? Why are you crying? Like, what's going on? And I tell her like, I don't know if I can do this. Crying. And she's like, okay, well, have you come out the room at all, or have you just been in this room all night? And I'm like, I've just been in the room. She's like, let's go outside, let's get some fresh air, let's go for a walk, let's see the sunrise, like let's get into it. So we go outside and we're walking, and every time I have a contraction I have to stop walking, and I'm just holding on to my husband and I'm swaying through the contraction goes away, and then we start walking again. But at this point my contractions are very close together. My contractions are like 2 minutes apart, because it's like, or less, because it's like we can't really get that many steps before another contraction comes. So it's like the contractions are on top of each other, back to back to back. We can't even make it down the driveway. Like we didn't make it very far at all. We made it like down the driveway and like up the street just to the neighbor's yard, so literally one house over, before we had to turn around and come back, and we went through like 15 contractions just in that little bit of a space. So she's just like, okay, well, it seems to me like you're pretty far along, like you're having contractions really close together. At this point I am like starting to moan through them a little bit. And she was like, oh, like, do you feel any relief if you like try to bear down, like try to push? Does that feel a little bit better? And I tried doing that, and surprisingly it does give me a little bit of relief. So she's just like, okay, I think you're definitely far along enough to go to the birth center, and we don't want you to have a car baby or a baby at home, so let's get going. So she just tells me like, go get dressed and go use the bathroom. So I go and I do that, and then we get going. We go to the birth center. My husband is driving my car, my sister is in Sister Ivana's car, the doula, and my mom, she stays home, and she's like, I'm gonna get myself together and I'm gonna come in a little bit. So we end up driving to the birth center. They call the midwives, and the midwives are like, okay, we'll meet you guys there. We all end up getting there like around 7 a.m. And the contractions during the car ride were really hard to get through. but they did space themselves out again, so they were back to more like every 5 minutes, and the birth center was about 30 minutes away, 25 minutes away. So because of that, like I kind of had about 5 contractions or so in the car, but every time I really felt like they were so strong and intense. I felt like I'm gonna give birth in this car, like the baby is gonna come out of me. Like I had a hard time like sitting on the chair, like that's how low the baby was, where I just couldn't really sit. Like it was really intense. So when we finally get to the birth center, I'm like, when we get here, I just want to get in the tub. I want to get in the tub because I've had enough of this. Like I listened to a lot of birth stories throughout my pregnancy. The podcast I listen to the most is called The Birth Hour. I still listen to it every time she uploads till this day because I love listening to birth stories. So the birth hour, a lot of times they would say like if they had a WaterBirth or if they could just labor in the tub, they felt so much better. It was so relaxing and like took the pain away. That's what they're talking about. So I'm just like, get that tub ready because I can't do this. Okay, this is so intense. Like I just need relief. So we get into the birth center and they're like, oh, let me check you just to see where you are and make sure that you're far enough along. But I tell them like, okay, I just don't want to know how far along I am, because if I'm not very far, I'm just like, as intense as it is, I felt like it would like dim my morale. Like I just would like, I don't know, like I would feel like I couldn't make it the rest of the way if I wasn't in what in my head I felt like was far enough. But the lady checks me, and actually it didn't really hurt. I think it could be because I was in labor. It was uncomfortable, but it wasn't like a painful type of thing. So it was like, it was quick too. So after she checked me, she had another nurse there, and she mouths to the other nurse the number dilation I am, and I am sitting right in front of her on the table, so I can hear. Like I mean, I can see what she's mouthing. So that just pissed me off because it's like, oh, you could have walked away before you told her. Like, but it ended up being that I was 7 centimeters, so it was fine, whatever. I'm 7 centimeters, and I felt like, okay, at least I'm past the 6 centimeter mark, so that's even better than the minimum I had to do to be here. So I'm like, okay, let's just get through these last few centimeters. So I get into the tub and I try my best to relax, take deep breaths and just close my eyes. The lights are off. I have the Hypnobirthing soundtrack playing, and I'm just deep breathing, and I'm just, okay, like relaxing. However, the contractions are still coming, but they're spaced out. So the contractions are now like every 7 minutes apart. And they're spaced out, but they still are really uncomfortable. They're still very intense. Like this is not a pleasant, I'm not just swimming in a pool. Like this is not good. So I tell the doula, I'm just like, can we wrap this up? Like I want this to end. Actually, I'm tired of being in labor. I've been doing this all night. I've been doing this since yesterday. I want to be done being in labor. Like I'm sick of it. What can we do to get this over with? So she's like, okay, you're gonna have to get out the tub because the tub is slowing down your labor. Are you sure you don't want to just relax and give your body a little bit more time to rest? And I'm like, no, because it may seem like I'm relaxed on the outside, but internally every time I have a contraction, I'm losing it. Like, oh, it just feels terrible. Like, so she's just like, okay, let's get out and let's try the shower again, or let's try with you sitting on the toilet. They call the toilet the dilation station, and that's like where you sit in the toilet backwards, and it's supposed to like help progress your labor. So I'm like, let's do the toilet. I get on the toilet, I'm sitting there backwards going through some contraction. She's trying to like massage my back, but I'm just like, it's not helping. Nothing is helping. Nothing is taking this pain and discomfort away, and it's pissing me off because I just want relief. I just want it to end. I want it to be over. So then at this point she's like, okay, why don't we try the shower again? I get into the shower at the birth center, and I have that water on the hottest level. Okay, hot, okay, burning, scalding. And I have it right on my back because that is the only way, because it's almost like it's another really intense sensation that's distracting me from the intense sensation of the contraction. So thinking back on it, I kind of feel bad because like I hope my baby couldn't feel that heat from the shower, because it's very possible they could have, because it was going right into my back where my baby was trying to descend. So we do the shower. I'm in that shower for about an hour, and at this point I'm definitely vocalizing through these contractions. And I remember something I read a book called Ina May's Guide to Childbirth, and in that book she talks about how one of the ways to open up the cervix faster is to relax your face, and the best way to do that is to do either horse lips or humming. Horse lips is like when you just blow air through your lips, like that type of thing, but I feel like it would be hard to like consistently do that. So I just was like, let me do the humming. So now, like, as I'm moaning, I'm just humming at the same time. It's like it sounds like I'm like singing or something. It's like crazy. Like I'm just humming and moaning simultaneously through each contraction. And my mom is there at this point, and she can hear me, and she can tell that I'm in so much pain, and like she's like literally about to cry. My sister is like, you need to pull yourself together. Sandra does not need to see that. You're gonna stress her out. Like, leave the room if you're gonna be acting like that. So she like tries to get herself together while I'm, you know, moaning through these contractions. And then I end up coming out the shower, and they check me again, and they're like, okay, you're at 9.5 centimeters, but you have a cervical lip. A cervical lip is basically where your cervix is swollen on one side, and it's in the way of being like fully dilated where your baby can come out. So they're just like, okay, let's have you do some different positions that can help get that lip out of the way for a few contractions. So they have me lying on my side doing a few contractions, and at this point I'm getting kind of hungry and thirsty. So like I'm asking, like, where is my snacks? Like, I want my pretzels, I want my water, like my Gatorade, like what's up? And my husband is just like, oh, like it's in the car, let me go get it. So he goes to get it, and by the time he comes back, like I'm already over it. A new contraction has hit. Like, I'm not even hungry anymore. I just want this to end. So in between contractions, they're giving me sips of water from like a straw cup that I brought. And oh, and I forgot to mention this, that like while I was in the shower, my husband ended up falling asleep because like I guess he had been up all night from like driving the whole hour and stuff like that. So like while I'm in the shower going through contractions, my husband is literally nestled up on the bed. And so when I come out and they tell me to get on the bed, like I literally like have a contraction in his ear. Like I'm like moaning and groaning loudly in his ear to wake him up, because like, get out my way, dog, get out my way. And then he wakes up and he moves, and that's when he's like, oh, they're in the car. Like, you had one job, bring it, okay? But yeah, so he ended up like being the person to like consistently give me drinks, because essentially like in between contractions all I wanted was something to drink. So, but I couldn't really talk at this point. The contractions were so intense that I just was like, water, like that's all I would say, was water, you know, or thirsty or something like that. Like I can only say one word at a time. That's how intense these contractions were. So yeah, I remember laying on the bed doing the side lying. They had me flip to different sides with a peanut ball between my legs, and then they also had me with a regular yoga ball and leaning over the yoga ball, like rocking back and forth on the bed. And while I was doing this, my water broke. So it's literally like you hear like a loud pop, and then the water gushed out everywhere, warm fluid everywhere. And alhamdulillah, it was clear, because if it had not been clear, they would have transferred me to the hospital. So because it was clear, that means there's no potential issues with the baby. So we were able to continue laboring. So after my water broke, my doula told me like, okay, it's about to get a lot more intense because your water has broken. So we think you should try to get back in the tub to help calm things down a little bit and ease up any discomfort you may start to have. So I'm just like, okay. So at this point I go and I get in the tub that they've refilled with water. And she's just like, if you feel the urge to push, like go ahead and push. Like if the contraction is telling you to push, lean into that contraction. Don't shy away from it. Don't try to resist it. Just lean into whatever your body wants to do and just allow it to happen. So that's what I ended up doing in the tub. I'm pushing at this point, and I'm holding on to my mom's hand. I'm holding on to my husband's hand, and I'm squeezing really hard. And at some point I switched. I'm holding on to the doula's hand. I'm squeezing really hard through every single contraction. And like the pushing feels like, it feels like it's taking every single ounce of my strength to get this baby out. Like it's like consuming my entire body. Like I felt like I was literally having an exorcism. Like I'm just like, please, like just get this baby out. And I'm like, I'm not screaming, although it's so intense that I want to scream, like I want to panic, but my doula just keeps telling me like, hey, like low tones, that's going to help relax the cervix. Low tones, you don't want to expend your energy by yelling. You want to direct all that energy into pushing the baby out. So I'm literally just like growling and moaning at this point, like deep low sounds, just trying to get this baby out, like yelling but in a really low tone. So I'm pushing this baby out. I'm basically like I'm on my knees and my arms are like on the sides of the tub, and then at some point they say, oh, do you want to switch on to your back? But I knew I didn't want to be on, like, not on my back, but like basically where my back is reclined against the back of the tub and I'm sitting on my butt. But I knew I didn't want that to happen because I had also learned from the birth hour podcast that if you sit like on your butt or on your back, it basically restricts your pelvis, so your pelvis can't open the way that it was designed to open to allow the baby to pass through. So I want to do the most that I can to let the baby pass through the easiest that the baby can. So instead of just like sitting on my bottom in the tub, I end up putting my hands at the bottom of the tub, and every time I would have a contraction and I was pushing, I would lift myself like off the floor of the tub, like I was basically more floating in the water, so that my pelvis wasn't constricted. So I just would do that. I did that for a few contractions, and yeah, the baby starts making his way out, and they're like, you can reach down and feel the baby. If the baby is starting to come out, like you should be able to feel the baby's head. Like they said, like you can even reach and like put 2 fingers inside to see if you can feel the baby, and I did. The baby was literally like just the hair, like you just felt like hair and warm, soft, smushy scalp. Which is actually still crazy. So like, yeah, you just feel like intensity like in that whole area, like warmth and intensity, and it really felt like a bowling ball was trying to come out. A bowling ball was trying to come out from in between my legs, from the smallest possible hole. A bowling ball was like squeezing its way through, pushing its way through. And that was crazy. So I actually felt like the ring of fire, which is what they call it when the baby starts crowning. And it's like as the baby's head is starting to come out, you'll feel like a stretching, pulling, burning sensation of like the baby trying to fit through the hole. So it's like having to really stretch, and like that was really intense. But instead of pushing really hard in that stage, you're supposed to try to relax and not push too quickly, because that's how you tear. So when that burning sensation was happening, you just have to breathe through it in like quick breaths, like just try to ease that baby out. So I was doing that, and I did that for a few contractions, because the baby like would come out some, and the contraction would stop and the baby would go back. And so it was like it dragged out that burning sensation for a little bit as the body is stretching. That makes room for the perineum to stretch in the way that it's supposed to. So that's why that back and forth is supposed to happen. So we did that for a little bit, and then they're just like, okay, in this next contraction, try to push and get this baby out. So I push as much as I can. They're like, don't stop pushing, you got it. And then his head comes out, and I believe the nurse, like, or the midwife, like puts her finger to like unhook his arm to like, or his shoulders to like pull him out, which I kind of didn't want. Like I really wanted him to not be touched at all. Like I didn't want any sort of intervention, but maybe she was worried that he would get stuck. So she just quickly like pulled his shoulder or his arm out, and I felt that it didn't hurt, but it just felt like someone was in my business, like you're in my junk. So he pulled them out, and then they like quickly came out after that, and my husband put his hands into the water and pulled him out, because like I wanted one of us to be the first people to touch the baby, and I wanted him to feel like us, you know. At first my husband had gloves on, and I'm like, dog, why do you have those gloves on? Like, take those gloves off, get your hands in this birth water, okay, in this labor water, stick your hands in and grab your son, dog. Don't be getting all scary acting now. Get in there. So yeah, he grabs him, pulls him up, hands him to me, and then I'm just holding the baby, and like I'm literally crying because like the baby starts crying. He doesn't cry immediately, but he cries like after a few breaths. He starts crying, and that like makes me cry because I don't want him to be hurt or be in pain. So like I immediately am just like sad and anxious, like, oh, like it's okay, baby, like mommy's right here, like it'll be okay. Like, and I remember when he came out, I just immediately thought that he looked like my husband's dad. That was like the first thought that I had. I was like so shocked, like this is so crazy. And we do like delayed cord clamping. We let the cord pulse all the way, and they asked me to get out the water just because like they can tell if I'm hemorrhaging or not, because the water quickly becomes like full of blood and stuff like that, so they can't tell how much blood is coming out. So they asked me to get out the water, and then I walk over to the bed, and on the bed is where they asked me to try and push out the placenta, and I'm pushing and they pull the cord a little bit. I didn't want that to happen either, because I heard a lot of stories of like the nurses and midwives pulling on the cord and the cord pops off, and then it's like this whole big thing. But they're like, it's okay, like we're gonna be really gentle, we're just gonna help you get that baby out, and also get the placenta out. And also I heard like if they're pulling and it's not ready to come out, it'll like hurt. So it just was a whole thing. But I pushed as they tugged gently, and then the placenta came out smoothly, alhamdulillah, no problems with the placenta. Placenta came out, and then they went to stitching me up. They told me that I had a 1st-degree tear, I believe. Like they said it wasn't anything really intense, like it had like a labia tear or something they had to repair, but nothing crazy. So just a few stitches they had to do. They did give me a shot, like a lidocaine shot, to try and numb me, but that shot hurt like heck. So it's like I felt like after giving birth I still was in labor in a way, because I still had to like use those same coping mechanisms to relax and get myself through the pain that I was consistently experiencing, whether from the contractions of pushing the placenta out, and then also like the stitching and the lidocaine shot. Even after the lidocaine shot I still felt the stitches. They put like the spray to numb, that was burning me. Like it was so much. It was so overwhelming, like to do all this immediately after pushing a baby out. Like you think once I push the baby out it's done, I can just relax, but like no, there's still a lot left to do. So yeah, that was that. Baby Luqman was here, alhamdulillah, and all was well. He was a big baby though. He was 8 pounds and 3 ounces, so definitely a lot to push out on your first round. And he didn't latch right away, so we ended up having a lot of issues with breastfeeding, because I could never get him to latch. I got him to latch like one single time a few weeks postpartum, and he fell asleep after like 5 minutes, so it just never happened again, and he never got to like actually extract milk from me. So I ended up my pumping journey. Immediately postpartum he didn't latch, and it's because he just slept. Like he just was a really sleepy baby. He just slept the whole time, and apparently that is a consequence of having gestational diabetes, is that they can have a lot of excess glucose in their bloodstream, so they don't feel hungry, and instead they can just feel sleepy. So he just was asleep that whole time. I literally was crying like when they had to like poke him to give him like the vitamin K shot. When they took him away to weigh him, I was crying because of that. Like I cried so much during postpartum. Like I just cried and cried and cried. Like I cried every single time that he cried postpartum. Like it was that bad. And you think like, oh, a baby cries, it's okay for a baby to cry. Not to me. It's not okay for my baby to cry. Not a single time. Every single time I would cry, because I would feel like so sad for him. Like my emotions were tied up with my baby. Like I feared any sort of pain or harm coming to him, whether it was emotional pain or physical pain. It didn't matter. Even if he just was separated from me and just felt like anxiety, like anything, I didn't want my baby to cry ever. Not a single time. And every time he did, I would cry for those first few weeks, and it was just really awful having my emotions like so tied up with his. And I ended up having a really long and difficult journey with postpartum anxiety. I had it so long, like probably until he was about 18 months, I'd say. I had a really bad postpartum anxiety, and I ended up getting back on birth control, and I feel like that worsened the postpartum anxiety. So like I ended up getting back off birth control and deciding to just do like the fertility awareness method, like with my Oura ring, to just be able to track my ovulation and, you know, figure out how to avoid pregnancy that way. And alhamdulillah, I have been able to do that successfully, and I wish that I had done this from the jump and never gotten on birth control, and then like just always just been aware of my own body. Why don't they teach us to be aware of our own body? Like that's what I wish I had done. That's what I wish had happened. But alhamdulillah, I'm able to do that now, and I hope that I can continue doing this successfully for the rest of my life, so I no longer have to deal with the side effects that come with being on birth control. Because birth control really heavily affects me emotionally, and like it's just, I mean, you would think like it's hormones that they're pumping into your body, so I essentially feel like I'm like PMSing the entire time that I'm on birth control. So it just doesn't gel well for me and my body. So I exclusively breast pumped all the way until a little bit before 1.5, so maybe like 14 months is when I stopped, I guess you could say, pumping. Around 14 months, and I had like a stash of frozen milk, and I had him drink that. And then around like 19-20 months, he finished the last of the frozen milk, and then he just started with Ripple, which is a plant-based protein milk. So I had him have that from 19 months, and yeah, that's been our journey. I just bottle fed him that entire time. It was really, really hard to exclusively pump. I really hope I don't have to do that the next time I give birth. Like, I really would hope that my baby latches right away up. I'm really trying to do everything I can to avoid gestational diabetes diagnosis this next time around, because I just feel like it can cause, you know, side effects, and it is hard to manage, like the restrictions that it places on you and feeling unwell if you eat improperly. So I want to do my best to avoid that as best I can. And hopefully, maybe if I'm able to avoid it, I'll have a smaller baby. Like, he wasn't a crazy huge baby, but you know, like, they can tend to be heavier if you have gestational diabetes. So maybe if I don't, I have a smaller baby and I'm less likely to tear, and I'll have a faster, easier labor. Who knows? But that's just what I'm working on right now. So I'm working on trying to get myself into the healthiest spot that I can be before we end up conceiving our second child. I'm now nearly 2 years postpartum. My baby is turning 2 next month, and that just is honestly so surreal. Like, I can't believe that this has happened. Like, it's honestly flown by, and like, I really don't have that creative a memory, so like, I don't even really remember what it was like when he was a baby. So I really hope that this next time I can kind of soak it in a little bit more. I think it has a lot to do with the extreme postpartum anxiety that I had. Yeah, postpartum anxiety, it's really hard. Like, I felt like I could never be away from him. I could never be away from him, even if someone else was watching him in the next room. Like, I just would worry about him. Like, my thoughts would race, like, just constantly thinking about him, overthinking, is he okay? Any little whimper of his, and like, I'm like about to have a heart attack. Like, it was really hard. I didn't even sleep. I didn't sleep like the first few days postpartum at all. And then I ended up sleeping like just a couple of hours here and there, like for a few weeks. That's how bad it was. I couldn't sleep out of fear of something happening to my baby. So the first night, like the night I was in labor, I didn't sleep at all. And then the next night and the next night and the next night, I didn't sleep at all either. So I went days without having sleep. For the first time in my life, I went days with 0 sleep. And I was taking care of a newborn. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Alhamdulillah, like, I had my sister and my cousin, both my sisters and my mom, like, they were all there to support me in that first month and a half postpartum, and they helped me with the baby. But even with their help, like, I wouldn't be able to sleep, because if they had the baby and I was laying in the other room, I would just lay there waiting to hear him cry, like, so nervous that he was going to cry that I couldn't fall asleep. And if I did fall asleep, my body would like jolt awake, like I accidentally fell asleep or something, like out of fear. Like, the anxiety and the cortisol was like coursing through my blood so heavily that I couldn't even rest. Like, I would accidentally fall asleep out of exhaustion and then pop back up. And another thing that they don't talk about is like the exhaustion that comes when you're not sleeping for days on end like that, or you're getting such minimal sleep, is like your brain doesn't function properly without sleep. So it was to the point where my son also wouldn't sleep on his own. Like, he would as soon as I would lay him down in the crib, he would wake back up again. Like, he till this day, he still wakes up overnight. Like, he's never had a complete night of sleep in his life, and we co-sleep because of it. Because if I didn't co-sleep, I would never have gotten any sleep. Till this day would be no sleep, because like, as soon as I put him down, wake up within 15 minutes. So as soon as I lay down, close my eyes for a second, pop back up because he's crying. Then I have to figure out, okay, how am I going to settle him? Get him settled, try and lay him down again without waking him up. And then I'm just going to fall back asleep again, just for him to wake up in 15 minutes. Like, It was absolutely terrible. So we ended up co-sleeping, but one thing that I ended up feeling so guilty about is like one time in the middle of the night, like I'm literally trying to feed my baby. Plus we were bottle feeding, so he cried. I woke up, I'm like, okay, it's time to feed him. I had like a bottle warmer next to me, and I'm like in like so much of like a delirious state because of the sleep deprivation. I'm like barely like coherent, and I reached for the bottle to feed him, to get him to drink and go back to sleep. And I literally would hold him and feed him and like nod off, like falling back asleep. That's how tired I would be. And for some reason, the knob on the warmer was turned to the highest setting, or like just, now maybe not the highest, but a really hot setting. Like it wasn't right in the middle where I had come to learn was the perfect temperature. So for some reason it was too high, and I didn't notice. Like in my sleep delirious state, I just took the bottle out the warmer and popped it into his mouth, and then he's screaming bloody murder in the middle of the night, like 4 a.m., 3 a.m. He's screaming bloody murder, and I was like, oh, what's wrong, baby? What's wrong? And now I'm crying too, and I realized that the bottle is scalding hot. Like I tried to then drink some myself, like, oh, maybe it's not coming out, and I burned myself, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just burnt my baby. Like, oh, it was so traumatizing. But that's the type of stuff where it's like your brain doesn't function properly when you're not sleeping. Like to anyone else, like, duh, you should have felt through the glass bottle that it was too hot, or you should have, but my brain wasn't like functioning. Like, oh my gosh, like I was still living with my mom during this time. Like I lived with my mom for a month and a half postpartum, and my husband, he wasn't always there because he had work and stuff. So like it was all on me, like taking care of our child like on your own. Like it's so hard being the primary caregiver. Like as a mom, the hormones that we have to go through, like it was, frankly, that first month postpartum was a very traumatizing experience, and like I don't know how I survived it. Seriously, I don't know how I survived it. And like I was so worried that he would just die on me, like out of SIDS, like the babies just magically just die for no reason. You know what I'm saying? This is stuff that they pump into your head to terrify you as a mom, especially if you're co-sleeping and stuff. Even though I was co-sleeping, I would pop awake to check if he was okay. And like, oh my gosh, it's just that anxiety and the hormones from postpartum, it's just so crazy. It's just really so crazy. And like honestly, I'm contemplating, like, should I prepare myself this second time around and get ahead of it by getting on medication? Like they definitely offered me anxiety medication a few times. Like they would have me come and fill out the postpartum questionnaire of, are you depressed, and they're like, yeah, you're scoring pretty high, maybe you want medication. But I kept saying no because I don't want to be dependent on medication. I don't like taking too many medicines, and like there's always side effects to that type of stuff, and sometimes it's hard to back off that type of stuff. But man, it was so hard. I don't know, like, if it's okay for me to like I was suffering postpartum. Like I was suffering, and it's like I don't have to suffer. Like, so why do I feel like I just have to get through it on my own? And even when I ended up moving out of my mom's house at a month and a half postpartum, and I moved in with my husband, like it still was really hard, really bad. Like I still barely slept, waking up like 5-6 times a night. I've been waking up 5 and 6 times a night, like till maybe, if I feel like maybe these past month or so it's lessened up, but like definitely the first year postpartum, definitely like still at 18 months, I'm waking up 5 or 6 times a night. Even though he doesn't even take bottles throughout the night at that point. Just for me to give him the pacifier, he goes back to sleep. Like I never had a good sleeper, so dealing with that was so hard, especially coming from someone who is used to sleeping 10 hours a night. Like that sleep deprivation really will drive you crazy, and you feel so irritable. You feel so irritable and angry. You have poor memory. That is why I don't remember anything postpartum, anything from my first year of birth, barely anything. It's because I wasn't sleeping. Your mind cannot process memories if you do not sleep. Like I was barely getting any REM sleep. If I fell asleep, it was to a light sleep, and then I had to wake up immediately within an hour probably because my baby was crying. Like that is the hard shit. that I did not expect postpartum, that I did not expect with having a baby, was the postpartum anxiety and the level of sleep deprivation and how long the sleep deprivation lasted. That was honestly the hardest. So yeah, here I am, 2 years postpartum, and alhamdulillah, like, I have made it, and I am starting to want another child. I think, like, I want him to have a sibling. Like, I definitely don't want an only child. I want him to have a sibling that he's close in age to, someone that he can get along with and play with, have a playmate. Like, I really want that for him. So I definitely didn't want 2 under 2 because, like, of the experience that I just told you I had. I felt like I would not be able to handle it. So because of that, I decided to wait until he was at least 2 before trying for another baby. So I'm thinking we might even wait until he turns 3. So maybe like a whole nother year from now, maybe, I don't know. But I just want to get myself together first before even trying. Like, I want to lose some weight. Like, I haven't been able to lose weight postpartum. Like, I'm not one of those bounce back girlies. I know some girls bounce back immediately postpartum, but that wasn't me. Like, I gained 40 pounds during my pregnancy, and then I lost 20 pounds immediately postpartum, which I think was just like the placenta and the blood loss and the baby and the water weight. But the 20 pounds of fat that I gained, I retained it, and I have continued to gain weight throughout this journey since being postpartum, through breastfeeding and stuff like that. Like, breastfeeding made me extremely hungry all the time and, you know, extremely thirsty. So because of that, I gained weight postpartum as well. So now, like, I'm looking at having to lose like 30 pounds before I feel comfortable enough again to get pregnant again and try to avoid that gestational diabetes diagnosis. Like, I've seen that if you can come in at a lesser weight, it might decrease your risk, and if you start off eating healthier with a high protein intake from the jump, it'll decrease your risk. So that's what I'm focusing on right now, is just trying to lose this weight, trying to eat healthier, and trying to exercise and get stronger postpartum. Yes, I was really weak postpartum. Like, I had ab separation. Like, my stomach didn't have any abs. Like, it just you could go straight in through my stomach. It just was like jello. Like, it still was very soft, but I can kind of tighten up and you can feel abs if you poke my stomach now. Whereas before, I couldn't even tighten. Like, I had no like mind to muscle awareness. I couldn't even feel my abs, like, for so long, for months after. And then that contributes to like the back pain and stuff. So anyway, yeah, long story short, that was my birth story. So let me shut up before I just continue rambling about everything. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. The biggest thing that I can suggest is listen to other birth stories. Do your research on how you want your birth to go and the coping mechanisms that you can use ahead of time if you don't want an epidural, all that type of stuff. Try and do that ahead of time. So definitely check out the Birth Hour podcast. I love that podcast. And also Enemies Guide to Childbirth if you are into reading, or you can do like an audiobook. Love that too. So yeah, I love you guys. I'm gonna go now.